update for energetically sensitives and empaths. My name is bryndis. I'm an energy healer and energy coach, and I'm going to guide you through the collective or planetary energies for this coming week, May 11th till 17th. All right, what is an energetically sensitive or empath? If you've been wondering, why you feel a lot of physical sensations or sometimes extreme mood swings or weird sensations, lots of dreaming, lucid dreaming, and so forth, those can all be indicators that you are an energetically sensitive. Empaths are those that usually label themselves to be empaths because they can feel other people's emotions and often also tend to absorb other people's emotions. However, being energetically sensitive is not necessarily something that is special or that, has to create some kind of problem for you if you know how to manage energies, if you know how to deal with energies. And this is what this collective energy update here is about. It's giving you a little bit of a heads up. There are many factors that influence your energy, internal and external factors, and some of which we can't really control. So outer factors we can't really control, like how your family feels or how the energy is at your workplace or how planetary energies feel. Those are things that you cannot control. And so I tend to teach people that the energetic sensitivity that they have is actually a blessing. It is something that can allow you to adjust, to adopt to energies much faster, and primarily through understanding them. But before I go into like how all this translated here in the last week and how I am seeing this coming forward in the next week, I want to greet everyone here. This is a live stream. Thank you for coming. Let me know where you guys are from. Currently, I can't see you yet, but I know that I'm live. So please feel free also to ask questions or to make comments. Okay, so last week was an interesting week. I expected a week where we would all sort of just go within and have this really wonderful sort of inner connection experience. And instead something else happened, and this is quite interesting. Energetically sensitives, and again here, the distinction is really only in that energetically sensitives and empaths experience those symptoms or those effects of collective energies prior to the mainstream, so to speak. They're the innovators, okay, of energy readers and energy workers. Personally, I think that this is an upgrade that we as humans, our human species, is undergoing here as part of this collective transformation, this collective awakening process. And so, we feel these things a little earlier. And the problem with that is that we often don't know what causes it. And so we feel a bit at a loss. Everyone else feels different, and it's just us, kind of dealing with that kind of thing. And this is why, I'm doing these updates, because they can help you, first of all, to know that you're not alone, but also, to anticipate things and to learn maybe a few things here and there, because I give energy tips at the end of the energy update that you can use to adjust. So the way this last week played out differently, at least, judging by these roughly 200 energetically sensitives and empaths that I talk to or work with every week, was that it kind of forced them to connect within. And this is an interesting process. It was actually quite challenging for most people. So we had a green barometer, and people were like, this is going to be a great week. And yet, something happened, and it was mostly an inner process that led to a very deep sort of almost like when the residue of something starts coming up to the surface. So almost like a revelation. And that revelation led to, like very, very deep inner processes. The transmissions that we had here last week went really deep. And yet, and this was the reason why I put the barometer last week on green. People didn't get pulled in. They didn't get pulled into the drama. They could see all this, and it created a deep inner resolution process, and therefore allowed them to connect within or deeper. And this is actually the cool part. So while subjectively, it felt a bit challenging maybe at times, that we felt, oh my God, this, I had no idea that this stuff is still there, in the bigger picture, really, it allowed us to heal some very deep inner processes and connected us within. So this week here, this coming week now, and hey, South Africa, hey, California, I see you guys now. You're starting to trickle in here. Yes, Ireland, America, good to see you. This week that's coming now will be, challenging in a different way. What we need to do here is to learn how to consciously allow ourselves space to explore, to give ourselves space, to expand, and to decide. So I called this energy report Conscious Choice. And you've probably heard me talking about this before. Since almost 7-8 years now, we are in this process of transformation that we can't even really grasp. We don't even know where this is going. And so we are now, there's a shift change here, coming forward. And we're now getting to this place where, if we don't want things to repeat like they have been, playing out in these last years, then it's now really on us to make decisions, to not stay in this wobbly, dithery, jittery place of not knowing what to do. And making choices, guys, don't get me wrong here. This doesn't mean that you have to pin yourself down to anything. On the contrary, so it's just making a choice, but then at the same time giving yourself the space to expand into whatever it is that you're choosing. And when I'm talking about choosing, I'm talking about your integrity. I'm talking about your values. I'm talking about, the core of you, the roots of you, the very thing that defines you, not the thing that you identify with. That comes from your ego, but who you truly are. Okay. And I know I sound like a broken record. And of course, energies don't, change from one week to another. It's not like you put a new CD in, every time the week is over. No, I mean, these are very, very long processes, and we are entering here in sort of this next phase. And I've said this before, the whole month of May is this like big shift change or change shift or shape shift, if you will, into another level of transformation. So here now, in order to really bundle your energies and really, in order to be able to channel them and to work them right so that they can manifest your higher potential, the higher potential that comes out of the inner connection, the purpose that comes out of the inner connection, the wholeness, the healing that comes out of the inner connection, and the happiness that comes out of inner connection. You have to make some choices. And last week it was mostly about letting go of the stuff that we truly, truly don't need anymore. Okay. This week it's a bit more active. And I want to go as far as say proactive. So if you feel some things, really nagging on you, things that come up in your relationship that, are clearly now not moving you forward, okay, then this is the time here next week where you can go inward through allowing yourself that space, to make some bigger changes here. Changes are happening in our world as well, and I've announced earthquakes and volcanoes last week, and on the day of the energy update, we had this volcano in Hawaii that start spitting lava. I know these things are always very spectacular when you see them, but there's actually other things, more in the sense of breaking open, shaking, earthquakey type of energies that I'm seeing coming forward here this week. So the principle behind this whole week is breakthrough. Something wants to break through. We have to put our learning into action, okay? And this is what we're gonna have, sort of come at us. How can this make us feel? And last week, people went really, really deep with it, and there was some depression that could set in, and even suicidal thoughts last week, which clearly weren't your own. And the cool part was that most of you energetically sensitives could discern that. And so this week here, we're going to feel a bit more physically challenged. So physical integration, also one of the themes of May, so you want to really make sure that you do things that help your body to stabilize and that connect you, that ground you, so everything with earth and water would be really good for this week. Challenges that I see is sinuses, especially throat. So I don't know if you can hear this, but currently I am under the full effects of this fifth chakra, and it has to do with truth, has to do with expression, has to do with coming into, this expressive and creative energy. It is not yet the full bloom of it. It is the weeding out things, all right? And this is what can create issues here in neck and throat, also sinuses, also a little bit of lungs, and perhaps also issues with your feet or with your legs, more so with your feet and your ankles this next week. So the chakras that are affected, and you may have already heard this here through the symptoms that I've described, are first chakra, fifth chakra, and sixth chakra. Our sixth chakra, that's our third eye, that's our vision. So we need to know where we want to go. And that's why I call this conscious choice. But also the willingness to expand into this and to come to this expression of it, to discover what are the things that support me, what are my resources, what are my inner strengths, my talents, my resources, as in my inner powers, maybe even things that I haven't even discovered yet, to give all that space. Last week, there were a lot of people whom I recommended to go and try something new as far as like hobbies is concerned. See if you like this. Maybe take piano lessons or take cooking classes, photography classes, or dancing lessons, things like that. Because they're, it seems unrelated, but when we can connect with these talents of ours and the things that really connect us with the sense of, this is truly me, this resonates. As well as, synchronicities in your life, people that you suddenly meet that start talking about something that has been cruising around in your mind for a long time, but maybe you didn't have the words how to express them right. And you start seeing, that there's a collaboration possible, maybe, that you could get together with someone and start something new, start a new business or start a new profit organization, or just really tune into this, give yourself this space. And one thing, guys, that happens when you give yourself this conscious space for expansion is that you also begin to give yourselves more space to make errors. A lot of you guys have been sort of trapped in this mental looping and this fear of making mistakes, this black and white thinking, okay? And this is what you can counteract with this. And so your fears and all that don't get triggered. So right now, it's really about tuning in to what could I do and how do I want to express this, and what is supporting me, what is sort of helping me to get there. It's very practical in a way. And the principle here is the I've mentioned this last week, is from moving from a gettingness or from a havingness to a beingness. All right, to really moving into your center. And real quick, the energy tips here for next week. Physically, I've already mentioned this. You're gonna have to really take care, of some of your physical needs. Okay, that this will be the case really for the rest of this years, 7 years or 8 years of transformation process. Okay, because energetically sensitives, they just have the stronger connection with all these symptoms, okay, in their own body. And so you really need to, respect your body as the vehicle for all this transformation. All right. After all, we wake up in this body every morning, and it is, the part in us here, the 3D part in us, the densest energetic part of us, that has to ultimately, metabolize all of that. So, again, next week, learn how to calm your system down, how to relax in the right moment, your PNS, your parasympathetic nervous system, really needs your attention. Again, it's a good time for foot baths, because a lot of this is about taking a stance, and moving into the right direction. So taking care of your feet, maybe giving yourselves a pedicure or go and get one. But it's also really, really good time for traveling, and for going out. I mean, for me personally, I'm seeing people dancing, using their feet, but at the same time, sort of barely touching the ground and really exploring new spaces. All right, so traveling, short trips maybe, or you take the recommendation from earlier, literal, and sign up for some dance lessons. It's a really good time for this. Emotionally, since it's about taking a stance and really sort of standing up for our values, which is something that we've already been asked to do for the last 2 weeks, this next week can feel a bit overwhelming, because there's a bit of confrontation, a bit of conflict in the air, which means that those of us who tend to freeze or flight, when there's direct confrontation with something, we really need to pay attention and make this conscious choice and say, no, I'm standing my ground. I don't have to fight it either. Fighting is not the antidote to flighting. There's many other ways. And most of these ways that we can learn, how we can stand our ground, but without getting into a conflict, without getting into a dissonance, have to do with how well we can manage our energies. Our emotions are very often at that place between, our body and our thoughts. So it goes back and forth. And, when something is challenging on a physical level, say we can't really function all the way in the physical, or when we tend to loop a lot, or we can't really sleep well, or have this like never-ending thoughts, torturing us, then our emotional usually shows this in feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed. Okay, and this is what you need to pay attention to next week. Mentally, it's about values and integrity. I've already mentioned this, and so you really want to make sure that you are all awake here. Okay, sober comes in. Of course, this doesn't just relate to substances, but also in a way of like, being connected with your truth, knowing when to shut down or when to let go of your judgment, and really looking at things the way they are, and what is really true to you, and what are your priorities. Okay. Many of you still get tangled up in this, like, how do others see me? For this following week, it's much more important to ask yourself that question. How do you see yourself, and how do you want to see yourself? Not as in who you think you need to be, but as in, like, can you trust in yourself? Can you rely on yourself? Are you accountable for things? These are all things that come with integrity questions. And then in your relationships, socially, because there's a bit of conflict and confrontation in the air, don't be afraid of this, okay? Because all this can clear the air, all right? We all evolve through, mistakes we make, or, like confrontations that we get through. I know that many of you have been working on this already, and, you'll start feeling the effects of this now, okay? You'll start seeing other people react or respond to you differently simply because you can be more centered. Your energy can become more consolidated. So no matter what the problem is, if you have to renegotiate something in your relationship, if you feel like, this is really the time now where I need to let go, all that really matters is how centered you can be. Because the more you stay within yourself, the clearer your communication, and the clearer you can get your boundaries across. You can also maintain them better, and you'll be able to better communicate what you truly need. So when it comes to centering your energies, it's really this part in you, that knows, what do I truly need? What do I truly want? And if you have a hard time expressing this with others because we have a 5th chakra activation here this week, then remember, in communication with your partner, to stay with yourself. Don't start a sentence with you, because of you, you always, you never. No, start a sentence with, from my point of view, the way this feels to me, this is making me feel ... This way you maintain the center within yourself and you avoid misunderstandings. It also helps, when there's already a little bit of escalation in the air, for the other not to go into this defensive mode right away. And then spiritually, we want to move into manifestation now. So it's really important that you use this time here for identifying where your restrictions are, okay? What restricts you? Conscious or unconscious, doesn't matter. You'll be able to see this week. And if you need to make a list, okay? Keep a little notepad or whatever on your kitchen counter. And every time you hear your inner voice saying, I can't do this because, or, I'm feeling restricted here or here, write this down. This is about consciously liberating you from these restrictions, okay? So it's an awareness making process here, so that you can then manifest this, so that you can break through this. And those of you here working with us at transCODES, we'll work a lot about abundance blocks. We've already started doing that yesterday, this next week. And energetically, for those of you who would like to know what kind of energetic healing methodologies or modalities they can use, it's all about energy management, energy groundwork, grounding, centering, and clearing things out, self-clearing. Connecting is always a helpful energy management tool, and that is something that I usually recommend in form of breathing or in form of meditating, contemplating, like really connecting within. If you would like to learn more about energy training and energy management, then check out transCODES website, transcodes.com. We have a 3-day, it's one session each day, energy work intensive, where we specifically train energy management modalities. And all these intensives and workshops, they're all remote. This means you can sign up for these sessions from anywhere in the world. You're doing this from home. So, and for those of you who already have, somewhat of an understanding or just want to work on their terminology, there's a 21-day YouTube free energy training lesson series that Jeff and I have recorded for you. And it leads you through this entire sort of breaking through your conformism, breaking through your matrix programming on an energetic level. It's free. It's like, I don't know, 14, 15 hours. So it's quite a bit of learning there. But this gives you a wonderful, lingo. It gives you a wonderful sort of toolbox of things. And then here at transCODES, we practice the practical part of that. But you have access to all of these things for free. And if you would like to work this with us, then of course you can always come and join our Sacred Self-Healing program here, where we give you daily meditations, workshops and webinars that we do every week and so forth, to actively work on those things. But this is sort of the bottom line for next week. So the energy barometer here is between red and orange, simply because this conflict energy and even breakthrough, which is a very, very positive thing for you guys, can sometimes feel a bit painful, okay? Only to liberate ourselves. So conscious decision making, conscious choice, consciously giving yourself space, and consciously liberating yourself from all these restrictions. That's your theme for the next week. If you don't have any specific questions, then I'll leave it here. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, smash the like button, sign up for my emails, and maybe come here in half an hour for the Crypto Spiritual Energy Update. This week, we're not only translating all these collective energies that we talked about here into the crypto sphere, the cryptocurrency sphere, but also I'm introducing the crypto spiritual integrity rating that we have started to build a database of companies, of coins, tokens, exchanges, and ICOs, and the integrity checks. And we're introducing the first 3 of these companies today. Thank you for being here. Wishing you a great week. Bye-bye.